All right, let's talk about electric car makers. And I'm not talking about Tesla. I'm talking about everybody. All car makers now are electric car makers. Everybody is either already in the pool or trying to get in the pool. But what's interesting is a lot of automakers have dabbled with the electric car. What they've generally done is they've made an electric version of a car they already sell. That's slowly changing.
That's right. The Germans want in on the electric sedan market, electric cars in general. I maintain that the reason you buy an electric car and the only metric you will have is styling and range. Yes, you're going to look at power. Of course you are. Power will come with the price. But from here on out, from a business perspective, it seems like the battery will always be on the floor for every electric car. And therefore, what differentiates one car over another? They're going to drive all the same, are they not?
Here's two of the best, most respected German luxury auto brands that make amazing luxury executive cruisers. But instead of just making an electrified version of what they already do well, they've made an electric car only, a car that was designed from the ground up to just be electric.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
TV, web, and podcast. This is Everyday Driver.
Did you know that Mercedes-Benz offered electric cars in their lineup as far back as 1906? But it's like Mercedes needed to remind the world again that they invented the car, because this is the first Mercedes EQ product available in the United States.
This is Mercedes' first dedicated chassis electric-only sedan, the EQS.
I'm glad they started with this. It's the electric S-Class. They took their flagship and they poured everything that they want to be and where they're going and their knowledge into this car.
This allows us to talk about all of the pros and cons of electric cars, which are range and charging capability and how powerful is it? Does it go super quick? Does it handle well? It also has the ongoing curse of electric cars. It's heavy.
But this car just might be the saving grace for enthusiasts looking for an electric sports car.
Everyday Driver is brought to you by Covercraft.
In the case of this Audi, it's using the J1 platform from Volkswagen, which also underpins the Porsche Taycan.
Of the two cars that share this platform, Audi wins hands down, and I'm a Porsche guy. Walk around this car, the fenders are very sculptured. The plan view from the sculptured fender over the top of the rear wheel well, absolutely gorgeous. And the cool thing is, it's not like you have to package a large engine so they can drop the hood even further and make the proportions compact.
What I really like is the fact that the interior just feels like an Audi. Electric cars to this point have been so excited about making very stark, minimalist interiors that they're not really nice places to be, but you're sure impressed with the performance. This could be in an electric car or a gasoline car or a diesel, and I wouldn't care. The interior is just nice. I love this light-sensitive glass roof. It really actually opens up the cabin and it adjusts as you drive. The seats are very good. It's very comfortable for the driver. The front seat passenger is going to do well. The folks in the back, less well.
The battery pack is on the floor, and there's a cutout for the rear passenger footwell. They call it a foot garage back there, and it makes the footwell deeper than it is in the front. Well, that's just natural. That's excellent thinking.
This Audi also has not been plagued by Volkswagen's new interface, which is worse. This has a normal interface. It has HVAC controls that are not part of the screen. That's a nice moment.
You'll notice if you want to open the frunk, the switch is located in the end of the driver's door. That doesn't seem very intuitive to me. And the frunk itself, smaller than a Cayman. This car still seems like a compromise.
I'm in a spaceship. All of the sounds are the sounds of a spaceship. When you get up to cruising speed and you're going along on the highway, it settles back into the background, all the weird whirring noises, and it becomes, frankly, a car you want to just crush continents with. The only thing you hear is the vague tire noise, and this has winter tires on it, and the wind noise, but all of that's kind of a hush. It's kind of a general white noise in the background. Otherwise, there's nothing.
Now we're in the base E-Tron GT. And starting with the power, this has 469 horsepower, 464 pound-feet of torque, which is a lot. If any gas-powered car had those kind of numbers, there would be a lot of drama surrounding the acceleration and the top speed. But in this car, you push on the gas pedal, the accelerator, the throttle, and there's just no drama. There's nothing associated with this.
Now, if I go into dynamic and I punch it, the whir's back. And the car's that's a big number. Okay, yeah, all right. So daily triples happen at a blink.
All you're looking at are your gauges to relate to the speed. I want to shift. I want it to do something. But it's just a surge of power. That's why we love electric cars.
Like the Porsche, there are different ways of thinking about how to do an electric car. This has two speeds. One is the low down gear for launches and for high speed stuff right off the line. Then it shifts up into a single gear that handles everything else.
I wonder if it's going to make drivers better. Or is it going to turn drivers into jerks because you can get around somebody almost instantaneously with this kind of power?
Everywhere is a passing zone. It's all just passing zone. There's no passing zone anymore, it's just zone. I'd like to pass you. Okay, done.
The good news about the Audi E-Tron GT is that it does the German car thing. The thing where it hides its speed and you always notice you're going faster than you think you are. That's the German Autobahn thing that's baked into this chassis, this entire platform.
This is an 800-volt propulsion system. Now, to give you frame of reference, most of the Teslas you're used to are about 400 or 500 volts. So it has a massive amount of power capacity. It also charges very quickly.
At a 270 kilowatt charger, this will give you 180 miles in 22 minutes.
Now, good luck finding a charger that is one of those monster chargers that comes down the fat pipe. Those are still hard to find.
So this owner has a 230 kilowatt charger in his house, in his garage.
The key to owning an electric car at this point in 2022 is still having a charger in your house. It is listed as having about 238 miles per charge. But this is the wintertime in Utah, and winter affects all electric cars across the board. When this owner turns it on a cold Utah morning in his heated garage, doesn't matter how much he's had it charged, it says 188 miles.
I'm back up above 100 miles. It's still disconcerting. Until we all get to a battery that has 500 plus miles of range as the trade-off between driving it hard and fast everywhere you go and still wanting range out of it, the E-Tron GT is not there yet. Most electric sedans, most electric cars are not there yet.
The performance downside of electric cars remains weight. This weighs 5,000 pounds. Weight is the thing that mutes you from a car. It keeps you at a distance.
With Audi, they have given it torque distribution. Torque vectoring is what you get on the base model, and the owner opted to get the rear wheel steering. That is the biggest difference to make this car pivot. This thing drives smaller than it would suggest.
Audis have traditionally had their engines way out front, past the front axle in some cases, and they're set up for understeer. Of course, they have that great quattro, but the dynamics of an Audi traditionally has been understeer and weight ahead of you. Because they've shifted the weight from up front, like traditional Audis, to in the floorboard and the skateboard platform, it has made this car balanced in a way that I've never felt in an Audi product.
There isn't road feel. You're still insulated from the surface. But from a precision and car control standpoint, there's a lot going on here. And I think what I love the most is that having front and rear motors to give you the quattro thing going on again, this is great. It's fun to drive in a different way. You're managing your power, you're managing the weight of the car through the corner, you're selecting different lines, because even though this isn't a sports car, and this is missing dynamics that we look for in sports cars and fun cars, this is fun.
It still has the fantastic highway manners. It still has really nice interior. It still has an excellent ride. It has the security of the Quattro all-wheel drive system. It still has all those things, but it's gained a distribution in the weight. It's gained an evenness throughout the entire driving experience that Audis have never really had for me. This Audi E-Tron is the first electric I've driven where I feel the electric powertrain has benefited the dynamics versus what the car would have been with the traditional engine.
Everyday Driver is brought to you by Griot's Garage.
This is Mercedes' first dedicated chassis electric-only sedan, the EQS. This is intended to be the electric equivalent of the S-Class, and I think that is simultaneously the good and the bad about the EQS.
God, this is big. I'm looking myself in the reflection of the buildings. This thing is huge. This is the first car with a coefficient of drag of 0.2. Most cars, most vehicles are high 20s or low 30s. But what Mercedes calls this one bow shape, one arc from the base of the A-pillars all the way to the back, is very elegant, very beautiful, and very luxurious looking.
I generally default to Paul on styling. In this case, I'm pretty sure he's wrong. I don't think this is an attractive design at all. I think it's a successful design for what they intended to do, but that doesn't mean it looks good, because it doesn't. It looks like a koi fish. It's just a little doubled over koi fish. Somebody took off the fins. It's all sad and just floating there in the water. And why is there no frunk? Big hatch, I get that. Every electric car has some sort of storage space in the nose. This has a massive nose on it. That big koi fish front end is up there and you can't even get into it. In fact, you have so much trouble getting into it that the only way to use it is to hit the little slot on the side to put in washer fluid. One of the big things about this is the look at me interior. I don't like it when the car screams at me that it's electric, but in this case, it's not just screaming it's electric. This is where Mercedes is going with all of their interiors. It's a screen-dominated world.
Look at this screen. This is an entire solid piece of glass installed in a car that you can buy.
In there, they've buried 3 different screens: the actual gauge cluster for the driver, the huge general infotainment and do-everything television computer screen in the middle, and a separate thing for the passenger. Do you need all these? No, you do not. Do they look cool? They're awesome. They look amazing.
You see on my hyperscreen here, it gives me the traffic light view, and this is what comes up when it's got the nav screen going, your nav system, and it'll overlay with this augmented reality. So it tells you where to turn, and it, of course, matches your heads-up display. The map also changes to a 2D view as soon as you pull up, because the rest of the time it's been in 3D view. So let's close that, goes back to 3D view. You can see right where I'm at in downtown.
Hysterical to me that I can see what's out my windshield by looking at the screen. Or I could look out the windshield too. And you think, well, I can't get the arrows. Yes, you can. They're right here on the heads-up display, which is a huge full-color heads-up display. So you've got a ton of information there, tons here, tons there, that then overlaid with more here. And over there, the passenger can be playing a game.
I don't need to see gas stations. Shells and chevrons populated onto the screen. I don't necessarily need to see parking. I want to be able to put in my destination easily and have it take me there. Now it did, but the issue here is it did it too late.
Yep, we're doing the block because that information was a bit behind. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But look, we're in this together, you and me. You and me, we're bonding over nav. And all of the circus of information going on right here.
Now turn right onto East Exposition Avenue.
It's a good thing I knew I was turning right, otherwise I would be in the wrong lane.
Crazy enough, I felt like there was just too much to look at. The interior experience is where it's at. The number 6 mood linen fragrance, to the AI, to the build quality, the materials. Nothing about this feels experimental. It feels ready for prime time.
I'm torn by this interior because I couldn't be more impressed with everything that it does. It does more than it ever needed to, more than I've ever seen in a car, and that's all incredibly impressive and well done. It's just so unnecessary, and it is genuinely distracting.
329 horsepower, 417 pound-feet of torque, and the 580 has even more. Every time I nail the throttle, it's like this gigantic booster rocket. This thing just moves. But electric cars, all of them, will always just move.
I am whooshing past all of you plebeians behind me in your non-electric Mercedes vehicles. None of you are relevant anymore. I'm doing this.
How does a 5,600 pound car just move? The driving experience of the EQS is not about being a driver's car. The entire point of the EQS and S-classes in general is to separate you from the driving experience.
Here at Everyday Driver, we've always been concerned in this show with how does something drive? I want to drive it for myself. Is it any fun? And this is fine. It's a luxurious place to be. It's not fun driving at all. The party trick here is the rear steering. The rear steering on this will go as much as 10 degrees. I've never heard of another car doing 10 degrees of rear steering angle. It gives this the turning radius of a small hatchback.
I think this is where it's suited. In the city, and certainly blasting along on the freeway, you'll make small driving corrections and you'll be able to feel the chassis. This car makes city driving really easy.
It is, without question, the quietest electric car I've ever been in. It is significantly quieter than that Audi was. It's like you're wearing a set of earplugs. And so you're aware that the world is out there, but everything is pushed way into the background. So while this is definitely a success in being isolating, that's not something that is unique to the EQS. It doesn't feel like it's reached a new level here.
And the other issue for me is the brakes. Yes, it's got regenerative brakes. No, the brake pedal feel is not good. It feels like you've lost your brakes and it doesn't brake where I think it should give me the most power. That's an issue in city traffic like this.
This has the latest suite of apps from Mercedes that essentially tell the car to drive itself. I'm not a big fan of that, but that is a technology that is becoming kind of ubiquitous. It will mostly drive itself if you give the steering wheel just enough pressure, but not too much, but just enough. That's the way I actually know that these brakes are really good, is because when it decides to auto brake, it auto brakes really, really hard. This has 350 miles worth of quoted range, which is pretty good. Definitely a lot better than the Audi and definitely viable.
I feel like I can use this with confidence. I feel like I can drive it like a normal car and I don't have to hypermile my way everywhere.
If you get lucky and you happen to stumble upon a charger that is one of the super fast chargers, the 300 kilowatt big boys, you can charge this car in a half hour. Good luck.
This car didn't charge very quickly. We had it on a charger for over 12 hours and we got from 20% up to 75%.
It's not the amount of range, it's how fast you can get it back, and you can't get it back fast enough, and the infrastructure's not there yet.
What's interesting about both the EQS and the E-Tron that we've been driving is that they're the same price. That Audi E-Tron was $123,000. It had the Prestige package and the optional rear-wheel steering. Whereas this is the 450 Plus that's rear-wheel drive only, but it does come with rear-wheel steering as standard on all the EQSs. As it is $122,000. So these do compete. I love that Audi has produced this and it's a genuine choice other than a Tesla.
Audi has discovered something here. They have done an amazing thing with this chassis by blending the really good dynamics that they got by having that shared chassis with Porsche, but it has an Audi-ness about it. It has a luxury in it and a style that I think surpasses the Taycan.
I like this car enough that I could see myself owning it, and also because I think it looks better than the Taycan.
Driving this E-Tron feels like I'm driving one of the best Audis they've made.
Mercedes has completely differentiated themselves from Audi and from Tesla and Lucid and everybody else. This definitely has its own flavor.
but I don't feel like it elevates the brand to a new level. It electrifies the brand, but it doesn't make a new thing they haven't already accomplished.
Mercedes has really knocked it out of the park. They have done such a great job. But I still want fun to drive out of my electric car.
So here's the EQS doing a really good job of the kind of thing that Mercedes has always done. I still think that the S-Class is better than this. The S-Class rides better, the S-Class has more space and feels better.